Hello and welcome to Living Spark, a project of the Spark of Humanity Network. I'm your host, Danielle O'Hallisey, and we'll be talking about what we talk about every week, which is the process of trying to free up the humanity in us and join it with the humanity of others in order to grow a network, the network that already exists. We'll talk about that a little more, but first I'd like to read a little bit from what I call our statement of principle. I think it's called something else on our website, sparkofhumanity.net, and I certainly will invite you to spend a little time there. You'll learn more about the basic principles there than you will from me. I'm more interested in how we are going to put those principles into action. But anyway, yes, the beginning of this document is that the insight, and I always underline that, it's an insight, not a belief. It's not a guess. It's things that those of us who understand it have seen in action. The insight that there's a spark of humanity in everyone is the foundation of the Spark of Humanity Network. We have discovered that as we connect with and affirm the spark in others, we are claiming our personal sparks and becoming agents of transformation. As we are engaged by life and moving through our experiences in this world, we sometimes notice that our sparks have become defended, distorted, or baffled. However, we have found that they can never be extinguished or corrupted. As we claim our sparks and connect with and affirm the sparks of others, it seems that their sparks are strengthened in our experience. It seems that the strengthened spark acts to erode the defenses, release the distortions, and clarify the bafflement from the inside. Thus, we find that indeed we are agents of transformation. So we had quite a few technical problems when we last broadcast 2 weeks ago, and I honestly am not sure what or if anything was broadcast. So I try to do a review of my previous times homework, which I give myself at the end of each program. I don't remember what it was the previous time. I know what I assigned myself last time, and let's spend a good chunk of our time together discussing that today. It was the phrase, "I don't know." And it's a story that I like to tell. My father was typical of the men of his generation. He didn't go around, he wasn't mean in any way. There was nothing cruel about it, but he didn't go around being what he would have said, called sappy. He wouldn't have been telling us every day that I love you, and giving us that kind of love. He'd always give us big hugs. He'd carry us on his back. He was a good father, but not the languagey part of love. And I was about 16 or 17 years old. I was sitting in front of the television set with him, and a commercial came on. I'm guessing we might have been watching a Pittsburgh Pirates baseball game, because we did that frequently. And commercial came on, and he spun around and looked me in the eye, like completely unexpectedly. And he said, "Do you know what the 3 most important words in the English language are?" And I thought to myself, oh man, if you tell me I love you, if you do that sappy thing that doesn't align with who you've been up until now, I'm going to be really annoyed. And yes, he said I, and oh God, I rolled my eyes. And then he said, "Don't know. I don't know. 3 most important words in the English language." And what followed was a story that he had never told me before. He said, I knew that he had built the house I grew up in. It's one of those things that's a remarkable experience to have. And yet, to grow up in that house, in that situation, you just take it for granted. Whatever your parents did, you go, yeah, you did that. Like, I don't know, maybe other parents did it, maybe not, but you did this. But he wasn't like hiring a bunch of people to do a lot of work. He was doing most of the work himself. It took a couple of years to build a house. It took a couple of years. That's not what we think of in terms of house building in our world. We think of it as, get it done quickly. His he explained it to me that his approach was that each thing that he came up against, he could say out loud, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to dig a foundation. I don't know how to pour concrete, how to stack the blocks that would become the basement walls, put the drainage in, put in the septic system, the water. You follow me? Like, there are a lot of steps to building a house. And as he was telling me in that commercial break, and I'm sure we went longer than that, as he was telling me, he'd never done any of them before. And it was his ability to approach people that he knew that had done those things and to say humbly, I really don't know how to do this next part. How do I frame in the walls? That, people make it look easy when they do it because they know what they're doing. I'm not sure I even have the tools. How do we do it? I don't know how to do it. Will you please teach me? Not will you do it for me? Will you please teach me? And he in that little story, he told me everything from the breaking of ground, and that included breaking of ground for the septic system, but also for the well, up until the shingles on the roof. And I remember seeing some pictures after that of my mother on the roof with my dad, and wearing a tool belt. And I thought, she built it too. And they both agreed that she had basically been there to hand him nails as he needed them, to assist him in getting things done. But to my mind, it will always be that my parents built the house together. No matter how much they emphasized one's contribution over the others, it was it's a remarkable image to have in my mind. What has that got to do with my spark, other than that it brings about, I always like visualizations. We all can get very fussy about them. For some reason, I see like a warm orangish glow in my solar plexus or my heart when I think of this humanity business. But what's got to do with that? Right? I mean, it's my parents, and so it's a fond memory, and it's it evokes that in me. And when I've told others the story, I've seen a few people get a little tear in their eyes as they listen to it, because that was something. How parents kind of act like they know everything, especially when you're little. It's like, this is how it's done. Don't do that. It's unsafe. We're used to that kind of image of our parents. And so for my dad to tell this long story about accomplishing something very big through the power of admitting to himself that he didn't know and admitting to others that he didn't know how to do each step, it's a very powerful lesson for me. So yeah, what's that got to do with what we do here? Well, to me, thinking you know something when you don't, or thinking you fully know something that you only partially know, it seems to be kind of one of those. I'm sorry, I have a cat who can't stand when I'm speaking, and she's not involved. So Momo is coming over to sit on my lap, hopefully, because otherwise she's going to knock my camera over, which she has done on other occasions. But yeah, so I see it as one of those things of the bafflement that we've all been around people who think they know everything. And I will frankly confess to you that there have been times in my life when I've been guilty of thinking I knew all about a topic. And I learned through conversation that I knew far less than I thought I did, or sometimes I knew nothing. I knew the wrong thing. I had memorized something that was untrue, and chose to believe that it was the truth. I'm going to adjust my camera. Excuse me. Yeah. This is all. I'm doing this, by the way, from Seal Beach, California, through the magic of Orca Media and their ability to knit together my feeble attempts at putting together a studio in my second bedroom is greatly appreciated. I don't know how they do it. Sorry. Anyway, so yes, how does that work? Well, over the past couple of weeks, I've asked myself that. Like, I set myself these homework problems, and I walk around with them. I'm going to sound like an idiot if I keep saying this, but frankly, I don't know whether these things are going to work, whether they're going to come up, how I'm going to deal with them. I'm going to integrate them into my practice of living this philosophy of the spark of humanity, of this glow, whatever words you want, this humanity inside of me, trying to open it up, trying to claim my humanity by affirming that in others. What's that got to do with? I don't know. And here's what I learned over the past 2 weeks is, first of all, it's been a very powerful couple of weeks. It's been one of those things that I think I'm really going to try to keep going and may revisit here, because this is kind of my, what's the word I'm looking for? It won't come to mind, but basically this is where I set myself, I require myself to do certain things. I require myself to be accountable. That's the word. So this is my accountability moment. And then for the next 2 weeks, it brings it up. Thinking about, I don't know, in the context of being around friends, about being in various situations, groups of people that I've been together with, family members that I've talked to. Yeah, it keeps you humble, and keeping yourself humble is really good, but it has opened doors. It hasn't required that I say to people, I don't know this or I don't know that. It has required, however, that I be reflective inside of myself and that I consider, maybe this person is talking about a thing and I have no experience of it, no knowledge of it. Maybe their experience is true and mine is also, but that we have a different place that we're coming from. We have a different perspective, or we have different experiences that give us the insights that we carry. I've also been in a couple of places where I talk around politics here. We're not here to deliver a political message. I will say that I have in the past couple of weeks heard things on the radio that reminded me that things that I thought were true politically a couple of years ago turned out not to be true. Quite a bit about the way that we managed the pandemic. I heard a long program about that and about how we managed keeping kids out of school. I thought what we did was absolutely correct. And I was one of those people going around saying, follow the science, follow the science. And now I'm looking and hearing people say, we didn't fully follow the science. We did some things that were quite good, and we can't castigate ourselves, but that it's just one example. Opening my mind, I guess. Saying I don't know inside of myself. Often I find myself pushing back and saying, I know some stuff, but I don't know everything. However you phrase it when you're speaking to yourself, it can open the door. It can open your mind. It can open you to the possibility of learning something new, of hearing something new. There was one particular thing that I'd had something come up in the culture around me that, and this word is sometimes overused, but I think it's an important word. It triggered me. It brought back post-traumatic stress, traumatic experiences from my younger life. And so walking around with that, what for me, one of the things that PTSD does is it tells me you do know that this situation is terrifying because it can lead to the thing that happened to me many years ago. And following my own advice, it was almost impossible in that state of mind to walk through and say, look, I don't know everything about this, and I don't reliving a horror of my own past doesn't mean that that horror is about to be revisited upon me, just because there are some surface similarities between situations. And so it helped me to get through that. It was several days that I was feeling kind of not with it, feeling really the power of darkness in my past and not feeling the power of the light so much. Where did I don't know come in? It was this dialogue I had with myself. It was also that I attend a meditation group every week, and um I didn't want to, we're not there for therapy. We're not there to talk about everything that's gone on in our lives. We have a short question and answer period at the end. This is at a Buddhist monastery, and so we can ask the monks some questions. And I was able to bring up and say, there have been some things in the media over the past few weeks that have been triggering memories of very dark times for me. And sometimes I don't know how to manage them again. That phrase, I don't know. But one thing that had become clear to me during that meditation session, it had felt safe while we're all silently meditating together. It had felt safe to explore that a little bit. And I had come to the place of understanding that when I dwell on my own trauma from the past, when I focus on my pain because I'm seeing someone else go through a similar pain, I am not really doing positive things. I'm being selfish. I might feel like, oh, I'm feeling this because you're feeling it. And I might trick myself into thinking that that's what empathy is, but it isn't. And, particularly to experience these moments of, sorry, some of that was coming up again. That's what happens. But um, there comes a point where I am not honoring the other person and the thing that they are experiencing. I'm not being empathetic. I'm not honoring their humanity, and therefore I'm not honoring my own. Honoring my fear is not honoring my humanity, and certainly not honoring someone else's. So that insight had come during this meditation session. And what then came was a sudden flash. I'm used to sitting in that room. I overwhelm myself with the flip side of I don't know. I'm sitting there often thinking, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, these people have been doing this much longer. The monks, obviously, it's their life, and the other secular people like myself that are there for meditating. They were there when I showed up at the temple several years ago for the first time for this. And they've been there right along. And so I assume they have a deeper understanding of it and so on. And somehow that, when I stated that, like, wow, I just had an insight because of this group experience. And I hadn't known this before, that my focusing on my own pain is keeping me from seeing the pain of others and being there for them, being present for them. One of the monks said, yeah, I get that way too, which stunned me. I just was not expecting that. I was expecting almost instruction, like, well, this is what you need to do. I almost wanted that. I almost wanted to have someone else say, I know more than you do, and here's what you need to know. I was almost looking for that. And instead, I saw the power of, like, it was like a key had turned in a lock. My expressing my own unknowingness had opened up the ability for others to do that, including the monk that was leading us. And then another person in the group said something else, like, oh yeah, I really need to be reminded. That's why I come here every week. I need to be reminded of my own, she didn't say ignorance, but it was kind of what she was saying, that I need to be pulled back to a place of opening up. And that's what this is doing for me. And she thanked me for saying what I had said. And all I thought was, I grew up Catholic, and I think in Catholic terms a lot of the time. And I felt like I was confessing something. I didn't feel like I was providing anything. I was acknowledging my own inability to provide any wisdom or knowledge or teaching to anyone. But here it was. And yeah. So I'm going to keep going with that in my life, and I'll probably talk about it more, maybe even next week. We have about 5 minutes now, and I know what I wanted to do to set my homework for next time, but to continue to unfurl the knot of thinking I know things, thinking I know more about things than others around me, thinking others might know more than me, and therefore I need to prove how much I know, which is in my professional life that often, I often felt like I was trying to fake it till I made it. And yeah, all of that. I'm going to keep going with that. I'm going to keep working. Before we leave, though, before we wrap up this time, the session for this time, I want to talk a little bit about this idea of claiming our sparks. That word is, I've been reading it out loud to you, and myself, and I've been looking at the statements of principle, and I talked to Martha, who is was last year doing the Living Mosaic as a different project of the Spark of Humanity Network. I talked to her, and she talks a lot about claiming my spark. And I have to be honest with you, I don't do it very much or well. She highlighted that in a recent conversation of ours, and it was as if I'd never heard it before. I was like, kind of claim my spark. That sounds very, very bold. That sounds like a doing, like really becoming something. And yeah, sorry, I get going on a phrase and it gets stuck. I don't know. I don't know what I mean by claiming my spark. Let's go back to this, that as we connect with others and affirm the spark in others, we're claiming our personal sparks. It's not even we're trying to claim, we're visualizing claiming. It's not we are seeking to claim. It's that by seeing others' humanity and acknowledging it, we claim our own. What? Like, what now? I'm really baffled by that one. I am driven to a place of saying, how can that even be true? That I claim my spark by acknowledging the sparks in each other. And yet there it was, like when that monk said to me, I do the same thing. I focus on my own pain because I've got some stuff. And when it comes up in someone else around me, I find myself reflecting back in on my own pain. And there was something about that of like a wall of my own making came down. It came down, and I was able to see him as a human being. Forget the robe he's wearing, forget the gong in front of him that he uses to introduce the meditation session and close it out. Like he was a human being in front of me, and the other people in the room, I suddenly saw them more as human beings and less as fellow practitioners, fellow seekers, fellow meditators. Suddenly they were more human. And in doing that, something moved inside of me. And so I know it's true. I know it's true. I know that affirming the humanity in those around me has given me, has given me that gift of claiming my own spark. But I'm not good at it. I'm not good at it. And when I think claim my spark, I think of it as almost in a possessive kind of way, like claim your prize or claim your parking space. I don't know. I can't think, but that it's like, hey, that's mine. That's mine. Give it to me. Give it to me. And that isn't it. That isn't it. That isn't it. So I'm going to spend some time doing the stuff I've already been doing that has worked. A little visualization, a little bit of telling myself, listen more than you talk, telling myself you don't know, or you don't know everything, or you know from your perspective what you know, and others know from their perspectives what they know, and none of you know all of it. At any rate, I'm going to work on that for the next 2 weeks. If you want to join me, that would be wonderful. I am Daniela O'Hallisey. This is Living Spark, a project of the Spark of Humanity Network. Thank you for joining me. See you in a couple of weeks.